I'm here to talk about mothers, women, but mothers, because we are fucking feeling mothers, okay? And yes, I do swear, because that's where I'm at. I'm an angry Geordie, and I'm angry because it's righteous anger. So you're just going to have to take it the way I am. Right, so redefining drug treatment for mothers who use drugs. I'm not really going to talk about harm reduction because I had the harm reduction. Thank you, everybody that came to this stall. But I'm not going to talk about harm reduction because what is the point in having effective harm reduction if we've got nowhere to feed anybody into? That's what I'm finding. We've got nowhere to feed mothers into. So, look, we take drugs sometimes, but that's got nothing to do with motherhood. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about fiction accepted as fact. So everybody who's a mother in the room will know what I call the Mary Poppins mommy. Practically perfect in every way, aren't we? Don't work too much, and we'll get home in a reasonable amount of time, and we'll cook a hearty, healthy meal with the organic vegetables that we've grown in the garden. And we'll watch our kids, you know, they've got to be in the room if they're gaming, and it's never for more than an hour. And then we'll play some kind of like hearty, you know, family game, Monopoly or something together, and then all go to bed at a reasonable time, all mobiles off. So then we've got the sinner. This is what I've been, the drug-using mother. And we're starting from like -50. So we're not even like normally doing stuff. We're starting from -50, and we can never, ever reach, never mind Mary Poppins mommy, we can't even reach like normal levels. And everything we do is measured by that drug use, every single thing. So if I'm pregnant and have a premature baby, it's because of the drug use. If my child isn't walking or talking at the right time, it's the drug use. Everything that we do is measured. Everything a normal mother do is just measured being a mother. Everything we do is measured by being a drug-using mother. Oh, God, I hate this one. She had choices and chances. But what choice did you have? Look, a lot of the times, the mothers that I'm working with they don't even know how to make a choice because they've never, ever been in a life where they've been given a choice or empowered enough to know that they do have choices. They've just been bounced around a system that didn't care for them. And then we're expecting them to make choices and chances that they don't have, they don't understand, and that are not achievable. You can't say to somebody, make a choice, if they're unable to make the choice. The choice of what? What are you telling them to make a choice about? What are you giving them a chance about? You're saying to them, you either be abstinent and we'll take your child, or you'll take drugs and we'll take your child. Either way, usually, that's the option. The option is not to have your child stay. Safeguarding is consistent. Oh, God. I mean, look, if I ask 5 people in the room what is safeguarding, you'll probably be able to give me quite a consistent answer. But if I ask a bit deeper, like, well, how do you measure it? How do you assess that? What are you looking for? Have you ever seen the child? Have you ever seen the mother with the child? Nobody really knows, and nobody can give a consistent answer. And I understand that, you know, we can't have, you know, everything's different, it's individual, but I can be a mother and I can have 5 key workers in a 12-month period. And each key worker might have a different understanding and measurement and assessment of what safeguarding is. So when we're saying to mothers, yes, come in, you can trust us, what are we asking them to trust in? You can't trust, we're not trustworthy, because if we can't give them a consistent answer, if we can't say, like, our service is, and we won't report you unless, then we can't keep on, we're lying to them. That's what I don't like. And I'm going to use the word lying. I know it's a strong word, but I am going to use that because we know that's not the truth. So this is not gendered. I mean, this is just, do we even need to say this? Because we know it's gendered, because otherwise the majority of referrals to social services would be by men, because the majority of people that come into services are men. So we know this is gendered. Bias and conditioning. Look, I'm fucking biased. I've got conditioning and I'm a junkie. Do you know what I mean? And I say that in a really positive way. I mean that about myself, but it's like I am a user and I'm a criminal. And I am biased and conditioned about me and my people. And so everybody is. It's about understanding. It's when the people that bother me the most are the people that say they're not biased, because we all are biased. And we all have to keep on reflecting on our own practice. Who are we? What do I think? Do I think that because I've been told that? Or do I think that because of my practice? Or look, I'll tell you how biased and conditioned we are. Hidden harm. Think about hidden harm. You know, just the very name of hidden harm. We can't believe what we see. We can't believe what we're told. We can't believe what we think, because it is there and it's hidden and it is harmful. Mothers are not punished. Come on. I mean, come on. We are the only people in the group, in the using community, where you can have your child taken just for using drugs. In fact, you can have your child taken just because they think you're using drugs. And you can have your child taken years later. You can get pregnant again and have that child taken because you used to use drugs. I mean, God, you know, it's a moral punishment, but it's also a punishment on that child. Uncomfortable truths. Well, these are 2009 to 2022, 114% increase in drug-related deaths compared to 54% increase in men. So, you know, those figures before, when you're looking at them year on year, they don't seem big figures, but when you look at them like as in a 2009 to 2022, that's massive, 114% increase. Sorry, you can't see these very well, but 2022, during the UK, 2,000 women dead just in 2022 in the UK. That's massive. I mean, it's not massive compared to Sheila's figures, but to us, and we don't hear about it. We don't talk about women at all. We're just talking about deaths, and we're talking about slight increases, and women who use drugs are 25 times more likely to experience violence. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about, we're talking about that safe consumption room. But what are we going to do about that? That's 25 times more likely. So where are those men? Where do you think those men are going to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, do we think they're not going to be in the safe consumption room? Do we think that a woman's going to be safe going into there? This next one, I can't believe that this is a crisis to me. There was a confidential government report about why, women, the first year after their pregnancy, and we all, I don't know if you heard about it, where we heard about brown and black women and how there was an increase in their deaths in the first year after pregnancy. What we didn't hear is that there's a 40% of mothers who used drugs died in the first year after giving birth. 40%. How don't we know about that? And the thing that's not in the report, which they won't release, is how many of that 40% had their babies taken, because I do think that's relevant. I do think it's relevant to know how many gave up. We've got a strategy, what is it, from harm to hope, I call it, from others harm to hopeless. Do you know what I mean? Like, what have you got to hope for? What have you got to hope for if your baby's taken? So over 96% of adoptions in England and Wales couldn't get any further than 2014 because they stopped the data then, and Scotland doesn't produce that data. But 96% of forced adoptions, the last time that they released the data, shows that people are fighting for their children. People are fighting to keep their children. If they have to be forced, that means they're fighting to keep their children. So this notion that mothers who use drugs don't care is a fallacy, and we just keep on repeating it. So if you go back to the first one, you can see that from 2008 to 2017, there was a massive increase in child protection plans. A 95% increase, but there was 164% in emotional harm, risk of emotional harm. And that's because Children's Act says we can't take children off mothers just because they use drugs. But of course, a risk of emotional harm, the risk of anyway is a maybe. And what is emotional harm? What do we mean by bloody emotional harm? It's like we never actually are saying what that means. What does it mean? And if you can take somebody's child, so come on, we know what this must be about. So what is it? Hidden harm, the facts. Hidden harm, the facts is I was there I was the expert by experience on the original hidden harm groups. And I know what they're about. They're about nothing. They're just bullshit layered on bullshit layered on bullshit. Because actually it's all about implication. If you really go back, I'm asking people to really go back and read the original hidden harm after this, and you will see it's not about facts, it's not about figures. This is all about maybes, if, could be, would be, should be. And what we've done is we've taken it as fact and then we've layered everything onto it. So everything subsequently from that has been based on but hidden harm said, well, it didn't really say that actually. And 11 out of the 48 recommendations were only about women. Men were never mentioned. And let me tell you, there was no father who was an expert by experience there. It was only me. So I call them the safeguarding, the 3 M's. So this is why I came back into like the public scene. What I do is I give out harm reduction equipment to mothers who are in hiding. Needles, yes, to mothers who are in hiding. And that's because we know they're not coming in from the tipping point beyond. They're not coming in. I'm working with mothers where they're in the first 18 months of their dependency. Totally different ballgame. If we could get them, if we could get them into treatment at that point, because I don't believe that problematic drug using and bringing up a young child is conducive. It's hard. The lifestyle's hard. The making money's hard. The men that you're surrounded with are hard. And so that's why I think they should be getting into treatment. But it's like I'm talking about today, if there's no treatment to get them in. So the 3 M's, I think these mothers are misunderstood. I think they're misrepresented. And I think the punishment and the way we think about them is so misused. This is what made me come in. Actually, it's, for the past 3 years, it really felt like we were really becoming really demonization, like really vilifying these mothers. It went from being like, we didn't think they were very good to, they're nasty. And I thought, God, and I get back in there and get these fuckers told. Don't mean this, like, do you know what I mean? Not you, but do you know what I mean? Like, get back in there. Because I'd had enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, I got burned out the last time, and but this time I thought, I can't sit back anymore. Like, I literally couldn't sit back. So, the demonization of medications really hit this group really, really hard. Look, this notion that methadone is somehow the same as heroin, absolute bullshit, because if it was, we'd all be in treatment. If it would literally, who the hell would be out on the street? We'd all be rushing into it. It's not the same. It literally is, and this walking about like a zombie on methadone. I mean, Christ, we'd all be buying bottles all over the place if we wouldn't be having these xylazines and, and it bothers me because methadone saved my world, saved my daughter's world. A lot of times I'll hear social workers they really don't like it when mothers are on it, and I think, God, and I was talking to somebody earlier on actually who said the same thing, what's sad is that we're cutting off a whole section of mothers and saving their children that could be saved because of methadone, and deciding that they should be on buprenorphine, they're not ready to go on it, or they should be abstinent, they're not ready for it. In which case, we're going to punish them and we're going to take the children. Abstinence, where's the line? Fucking hell. I mean, it's the moral line, isn't it? Again, why does a mother have to be abstinent? Why does she have to be abstinent? Why is that the moral line? Because let me tell you, on methadone, I did a 4-year degree and got a first. I did a master's, I brought up my daughter, I was an activist. No, and that was all on methadone. Well, thank the methadone, that's what I'm saying. Like, thank the methadone. But thankfully, there was no moral line back then. And I was seen as just as good of a mother. And I was just, and whereas now it's like, you're not quite good enough if you're not off medication. Look, we have to tell ourselves it's not working, because it's not fucking working, it doesn't work. That's basically the simple fact, isn't it? It's like, we keep on looking for, it's not working, what can we do? It's not working, what can we tell them? It's not fucking working because it doesn't work. Like, stop it, change the system. This group has something else that nobody else has. It has some unique aspects in that we already have, like an anchor. We already have something in front of us that we can build and are willing to build our change, our world for, and that's our children. So it's a massive motivational driver. And instead of like capitalising on that and understanding that, they're weaponised, our children are weaponised against us and used as punishment. And, you know, once you do that, you can't ever take that back. You can't ever rewind from that. And you are never, ever going to really positively engage with any kind of service, not fully, not from the heart. If they've taken your children, it's just not going to happen. You might survive. I talk to a lot of mothers, and they're surviving, but they're not living, they're not thriving. Oh, you cannot recover something you never had, this recovery. Well, what? A lot of my mums, what are they recovering? They got taken off their mothers. They've been bounced around a system that never cared for them, that never showed them anything. So we're asking them, we're measuring them on things that they never got taught, that we failed to tell them. And then we're measuring them because they don't meet these standards. You know, the coercive control, God, these mothers, I got told, this is the time that you should get up, this is the time that you should go to bed, this is the time that you should, this is what you should wear. I mean, literally. And look, I'm somebody that does what the fuck I want, but like when she was little and the social services were involved, I was like, yes, whatever you want, just to keep her. And I mean, what are we saying? What kind of motherhood is that? Because you're saying to somebody, come out of a coercive, controlling relationship and this violent man and this who's going to tell you what to do and we're going to tell you what to do. And it is domestic abuse because somebody's telling you they're going to give you a punishment if you don't do it. Strict motherhood. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. God, sorry. So a mother that I work with, she couldn't keep a baby. You know, her lifestyle was too chaotic. She didn't have the kind of stable things that maybe that the baby needed. But, do you know, that baby was taken 5 hours after she gave birth, and she was discharged an hour after to nothing, to absolutely nothing. And, you know, a couple of months ago, she rang me on a Sunday, and I always say to mothers, bloody hell, give us a Sunday off. Don't ring us on Sunday. And she rang us and just said, I just need a friend. And I said, yeah, come round for a cuppa then. And she came round, and nobody let her talk about the baby. So she was just, and our family who hadn't taken the baby were like, well, it's your fault. And she hated herself, it's my fault. And I said, like, just tell us about the baby. And she was like telling us about her little hands and her little feet. And nobody talks to her, treats her like a mother. And she's dead now, a couple of weeks ago. And it's like, and I do blame social services. I do blame the way they took the baby, not preparing her that they were going to take the baby, not giving her like a goodbye, a cuddle, a lock of hair, footprint, you know what I mean, like something. So she mattered. She wasn't just a number, like a drug-related death. She really, really mattered. So, she really did matter anyway. I don't believe that women-only services work the way they're set up, because I think they don't take into account that we've done so much damage. We've neglected these women for so long, we've neglected these mothers for so long that they're not going to believe us, they're not going to walk into a service. It doesn't matter what we offer, they're not walking in. God, I'm sorry. I know. Yeah. This is not a Hallmark fucking movie. This is no fucking happy endings at the moment. We have a lot to do to change how we feel but change how they feel about us and how they see us. So I believe that it's about assertive outreach, the kind of things I do, which is getting in my car and travelling round. And, you know, people say, why do you give out them pink bags, Anna? You know, because everything's pretty and pink and the needles are pink in there. And I think because sometimes that's the only fucking pretty thing they've got in their world. And I'll sparkle it and glitz it and pink it, whatever I need to do to make them feel a little bit pretty about themselves. And if that's the way they say pretty, then that's okay. And like, who am I to say, no, you should have a grey needle, Anna? You know, you should have a grey needle because you're a bad mummy. You should have it in a grey bag, and the sharp spin should say, what's the right thing? Do the fucking right thing. Like, do we even think about the messages that we're sending? Do the right thing. If you're not going to use that sharp spin every time, if that's a fucking dodgy message that you're getting, do the right thing. What is it saying to you? Do the right thing is don't use. I think we need to reconfigure the current service. I don't think we should have women in services. I don't think we should have children in services, but I don't think that we should have necessarily women in services at the minute. We need them outside in the community because we know 25 times more likely to violence. So what are we saying? Come into the service, where you might meet like the guy that was pimping you out last week, or the guy that was hitting you, or the guy that's going to take your drugs off you. I think we need to stop being led off social services. I think drug treatment has become a sector where we are led with mothers by social services. They rule the game, they rule the treatment plan, they rule what we're doing. And we're just like, as drug workers, you're just like, all right, okay, yeah, well, social services said. Well, they're not the fucking experts. I expect drug treatment workers to hold the line on drug treatment. So if the social worker says, well, we want it to go from injecting to abstinence in 6 weeks, I expect the drug treatment worker to say, listen, that's just not on, it's just not reasonable. You know, and I feel like maybe they've lost confidence because of the risk, because there's so much pressure to get it right. We can't get it right all the time, but, you know, we can get it better. I'm just asking people to be the best you can in the space that we're in. Bridge builders versus peers. Okay, so look, this peer nonsense, I can't bear it. A peer means current. A peer is somebody who is current. Lived experience is somebody who used to be. And they're two different things, and we have completed these two things, and it, you know, you can call yourself a peer all you want, but do you think they see you as a peer? Because they fucking don't. And if they don't see you as a peer, then that's what counts. They just think it's false. They just always think it's something that I say I'm a user and a criminal, specifically because I don't want to other myself. I don't want to take myself away from them. I just want them to see that I'm the same as you, and I might be sideways on the line a bit, but I'm not forwards. I'm not X. I'm not used to be. I'm user, and I will always be a user, whether I'm using drugs at the minute or not. Or some days I might be using and some days I might not, but I'm always the same as. And that's how they respond to me. That's how I'm getting to them so early. I mean, how do people think I drive around and we can't get to them? It's not like they come knocking on my fucking door. Like, you know, I'm getting to them because they think I'm like them and they see me like that. And the minute they see you like that, that's when they're going to come forward. That's when they're going to open up. That's when they're going to talk to you. Because you will have people in your services that you know nothing about them. You think you do. You think that they're telling you the truth. But nobody's really telling you the truth because they can't. They fear you all the time. And bridge builders are the people that are 1 foot in the community and 1 foot in the service. They're the people. Harm reduction, that's a bridge builder. So, this is the quote. I don't know what time I'm on, but I got too emotional. I had to rush through it. Honestly, that's Steph just... So this is the quote. Every time every time I did 6 months in solitary confinement when I was in prison. It's a long time to do in solitary for being too violent to mix with the other prisoners. So look, Be thankful I'm not violent today. And when I was in there, this is the quote that I read. And when I came out, I thought, God, it really reminds us of what we should be doing with mothers. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, God, at the minute, really what we're doing is we're getting mothers and we're forcing them to pick a bud, and they're under God, and that God is wielding a fucking punishment and she's stuck in the middle of a desert. And so I'm asking people to flip the narrative, and all I'm asking people to do is let them have a view of the sea. Just let them have a view of the sea. You know, Steph should have, I know I keep on flipping back to her, but she's who I'm thinking of at the minute, but she should have had the opportunity to say goodbye to her baby. She should have had the opportunity to have wrote a letter to her baby. She should have had the right to feel like she was worthy of living, because that was the problem. We created that problem by making her feel like she was worthless. So, yeah, for her. For her.